howdy, folks, and welcome to another day in the Milky Way. We got a great show for you tonight. By gosh, we're going to read out of this book tonight, and it is, of course, it's The Wake Dreamer by Samantha Fey. Now, there's some good stuff in this book. I hope you all can see this, but anyway, it's a good book. But I think there's some really cool stuff in here, and I'm going to share it with you. Tonight, we're going to talk about ghosts and loved ones. Who doesn't like that? Anyway, could be better, but it is what it is. So, ghosts and loved ones, people. What do you know about ghosts? Ghosts are everywhere. Or are they? No, they could be here or there. They're incorporeal. Maybe you don't see them all the time. Or do you see them when you want to see them? You know, that's the big question. Have you seen a ghost? Very good question. But anyhow, regardless of how it goes, maybe you will see a ghost someday. Do you believe in ghosts? I mean, there's a lot of things. Are the ghosts you see the loved ones you know? Or is it strangers? Oh, look at that. I got my Ana Karana hat on tonight. Ana Karana tonight. I guess I put it on backwards, but I really like this hat. It's pretty cool. It's not. Let's see. So we're going to go to chapter 4. And tonight we're going to hit chapter 4. It's called Ghost and Loved Ones. And there's some good stories in there too. So we're gonna do that. And we're going to see what we can see with that. And I'll put some picture up so you don't have to stare at my ugly mug. And there we go. Ghost and loved ones. It is not an easy thing living in two worlds at the same time. Robert Moss. We are born with free will and we will die with free will. This means that if souls choose not to pass into the light, they have the free will to do so. Well, of course they do. They should have the free will to do so. Just as we have the free will here to do what we need to do. There are many reasons why someone might choose this fate. If their religious beliefs have taught them that suicides go to hell, yet the pain of living on earth led them to take their own lives, they may choose to remain a ghost. Some souls choose to remain earthbound because they'd rather stay and wait for a loved one to cross with them. Those who are murdered may want to see their killers brought to justice, so they refuse the light and stay on earth. I've encountered ghosts who won't cross over for a variety of reasons. One woman was haunting a home, told me she refused to cross over because she didn't want to spend eternity with her husband. Wow, now that's a reason. Another ghost who was haunting the office where I worked and revealed that her son went missing in Vietnam. She refused to cross over until she knew where he was. The ghosts I've encountered tend to be newer souls or people just refuse to evolve and grow. They tend to be stuck in their ways and very rigid in their beliefs. As poet, novelist, and critic Andrew Lang once said, since the days of ancient Egypt, ghosts have learned and forgotten nothing. One of the earliest records ghost stories centers on a woman named Philippiana, who lived during the 4th century BCE. She died 6 months after her arranged marriage to a general in Alexander the Great's army. Soon after her death, she began appearing in her parents' home. They had a handsome guest staying there with them named Machis, with whom, according to the ancient writers, she began to intimate ghostly relationship. When they were discovered by one of the household staff, she defended herself by saying that her affair was approved by the gods of the underworld. Her parents worried that she was someone else from the underworld and masquerading as their daughter. had her tomb opened only to discover that her body was missing. Then Matches, the ghost young lover, showed the parents pieces of jewelry he had received from her as gifts. The pieces had been buried with her and were also missing from the tomb. The first century Plutarch wrote about a Spartan named General Pontutus, who died in 470 BCE. When Pontutus was at the height of his career, he called a young Byzantine woman named Cloenice to his room one evening and tried to force himself upon her. When she refused, he murdered her. Cloenice then became a cur, a tormenting spirit, and haunted Polnice in his dreams, appearing to him as a ghost who cried out, "Draw thou nigh to thy doom. 'Tis evil for men to be wanton." Consumed with fear and guilt, Polnice consulted the oracle of Heretica. Through the oracle, Cloenice told him that she'd stop haunting him if he returned to Sparta. Polnices was arrested as a traitor upon his return to Sparta and was condemned to death by starvation. He was walked up in Athens' temple. After he died, he too became a cur, and mediums had to be called in to exorcise his spirit. A spirit is someone who has passed through the light and crossed over to the other side. A ghost, on the other hand, is someone who has refused to go to the light and remains bound to earth. Ghosts are often needed to help mediums to cross over successfully, and sometimes spirits also need our earthly assistance. Even though spirits have successfully crossed into the light, they often still need our help and prayers. Well, how about that? So will you give a ghost a helping hand? That's a good question. Open the doorway and tell them to go. They have to go through a life review, look at their own soul's plan, evaluate how well they did. And they need to go through their own grieving process just as much as we grieve when we lose them. Finally, they are often encouraged to return to Earth so they can further evolve their souls. All of this takes time and energy, often requires our assistance. Helping spirits cross over. Shall we help somebody cross over? Is that our duty? Let's find out. Just as our departed loved ones can appear in our dreams to offer guidance, confirmation, and affirming messages, we are often called upon our soul travelers to help them as well. Stories have surfaced throughout history of ghosts spiriting and reaching out to us in our dream state to request our help. Those of us who are open to helping souls in our dream state can perform a wonderful service to the newly departed, who may find themselves stuck in their own grieving process or restraint to giving up their beliefs. Dream writer and teacher Robert Moss maintains, and this is a quote from his book, "The dead come calling in our dreams because they need our help or guidance. For us, often because they are lost or lonely or stuck somewhere not very far away. There are guides available on the other side, of course, but the dead may have remained so physically orientated, so embellished in their dense energy bodies, that they are inclined to trust someone who has physical body more than being one who does not." We'll go get a load of that. So if you see a ghost, send them on their way. Help them to the other side. Tell them that they're lost. Open a doorway. What do you think? Shall we do it? When I was going through my own spiritual awakening, my dream life evolved into a powerful nightly tour of the other side. One night I dreamed that I was awakened in my bed by a friendly older gentleman. I remember sitting up in my dream and staring at him. He was wearing faded blue jeans and a denim shirt and had on an old red baseball cap covering his head of thick gray hair. He introduced himself as Red and shook my hand. I nodded and tried to smile, but I couldn't seem to find my voice in this dream. Red asked me to follow him into the kitchen, which I found was full of people. Red stayed by my side and kept me fatherly calm, hands on my back. Go on, darling, he said. They just want to talk to you. I walked up to a woman who looked to be in her mid-50s with short gray hair and strong, comforting presence. Hold my hand, she says. I want to show you something. Her cocoa-colored hand was warm, and I was instantly transported into a car in a parking lot. I looked around me and saw an ambulance and a hospital sign. I was in a small Honda hatchback with the woman seated in the driver's seat wearing a nurse's uniform. Suddenly she was gripped by a scorching pain in her chest, and I watched helplessly as she bent over, opened the driver's door, and fell to the ground. In a next moment, I was back in my kitchen holding her hand. She gave me a wiring smile and said, "It was a Monday when I died." I spent the rest of the dream greeting everyone in my kitchen, holding their hands and witnessing their last moments on earth. One man died sitting on a tractor in the field on his farm. Another had been killed in a car accident. They all seemed to die quickly and unexpectedly. I don't know why it was so important for me to witness these last moments with them, but I was honored to be part of it. I felt as if sitting with them during their last moments in my dream helped them to cross over to the other side fully. After I'd greeted everyone in my kitchen, Red walked me back to my bed, tucked me in. He pulled the blankets over me and patted my hand, and then sat on the edge of the bed and said, "Now, was that so bad?" I shook my head and, apparently still unable to find my voice. "We've been trying to come to you for years," he said. "Finally, I came up with an idea. It's not so scary in a dream, is it?" I nodded in agreement. After that, I started having many dreams in which people just wanted to show me how they died. In one, I was seated at a huge mahogany table with a family of 12. I patiently witnessed all their last moments on earth. I've had many dreams where I'm seated at the outdoor cafe by the ocean. In these dreams, there are always a long line of people waiting to sit down and talk to me. They always want to tell me how they died. Since death is so final and traumatic, I feel that mediums like myself can act as a link between the side and the next, helping the newly deceased process the trauma of this final permanent challenge or change in their soul's journey. In many of my soul travels, I am helping the newly deceased recognize that they are now dead and that they need to go through the light to the other side. Well, gee willikers, people. Are you a medium? Have you helped people go to the other side? Well, you never know. Okay, let's see. We're gonna do one more of those stories, and then we're gonna skip over this one because this one seemed really interesting. Okay, one more. After another night, I dreamed I was standing outside a hospital with a young girl who looked to be about 9 or 10. She was in the hospital, hospital grown, holding a teddy bear, peering past me and watching as cars picked up or dropped off patients. When I told her she needed to go through the light, she didn't answer me. Again, I felt a presence behind me who told me to encourage the girl to look into the light where she see her family. If you peer into the light, you'll see her grandmother. She's waiting for you, I said. The girl stopped trying to look around me and finally spoke. "I'm waiting for my parents," she said. They're supposed to pick me up." My heart went out to her. "No," I said quietly, gently. "You meant to pass on now and go to heaven. You're going to have so much fun there, and you can pop in and visit your parents whenever you like. Anytime, but you can't do that until you go through the light." Prompted by the presence behind me, I sent a mental message to the child's grandfather or grandmother and watched as her hand reached out through the tunnel of light. The little girl looked up at me and nodded. She was tucked she tucked her teddy bear under her arm and with her other hand reached for her grandmother. I peered into the tunnel and watched as the two embraced and then walked into the light together. As I stood there by myself in front of the hospital, I heard the presence behind me say, "Well done." The little girl had apparently been waiting for years for her parents to pick her up from the hospital. This made me wonder whether time stands still for ghosts. They are in a dimension we just can't understand. Or are they stuck in a movie called Life that's been temporarily paused for them? I don't know, but it did comfort me to learn that the child's guides had been there with her all this time trying to help her cross. Well, why was I able to do it now? Perhaps she was finally ready. Well, that was a good one. Okay, now I'm going to do this one, which I thought was kind of interesting. It's called Pennies from Heaven. I hope you guys are enjoying these stories. It seems really cool. That's what I thought. Really cool stories. And who doesn't like really cool stories? I feel bad for some of these people, though, stuck in a loop somewhere. It's called Pennies from Heaven. My mother-in-law once asked me about old expressions, pennies from heaven. I explained to her that since metal is a conductor of energy, it's easy for our loved ones to manipulate pennies, and many spirits use them as a way to communicate and connect with us. She smiled and said, "Oh, well, that's not for me. When I die, I'll leave you quarters." "What the heck are you going to do with a penny?" We laughed and agreed that if I found a quarter in a weird place, I would know it was a hello from her. Over the years, I found quarters in the strangest places. I never carry cash, let alone change. Yet the day we returned home for my mother-in-law's funeral, we found a pile of quarters on the garage floor. When I was dealing with my breast cancer diagnosis, I found quarters at every doctor's visit. I remember when I had to get my first mammogram after my cancer surgery, I was terrified. I sat in the parking lot for a long moment to steady my nerves. As soon as I stepped out of the car, I spotted a shiny new quarter on the ground and sighed with relief. I knew all would be well. Now I buy angel coins online and leave one in the parking lot. Each year when I get my mammograms, hoping that it brings someone else a bit of comfort. When I visit my dad at the nursing home, I often leave an angel coin for someone else to find. I drop one every time I visit the hospital or cemetery too. These small, seemingly insignificant acts of kindness can be life-changing for a recipient. And when we perform these random acts of kindness in memory of a loved one in heaven, it reinforces our bond, our energy connection with them. This helps give them love and assistance. And assistance is in our grieving. Well, how about that? Well, son of a gun. Oh, here we go. So, what do you think of that? Have you had a loved one leave you a message with a coin, a penny? Has one moved? Have you ever had that happen to you? Interesting. It's a good thought, though. I wonder if it could be. It's going to have me my mind reeling all night. Well, I hope if you ever had that experience, let me know. Send me a message or send me an email. Leave a comment below. I'd sure like to know what you think. A recent loved one? Was it somebody you know? Was it your mother, father, grandmother, grandfather, some kid, neighbor? Was it just a random person? You know, I would really think that like people go to these places like where the Civil War was, and they hear shots ringing off in the distance. You know, they hear voices or troops marching. You know, are you hearing the past, or are those people just stuck in an endless loop of fighting in a war? You know, or if somebody is in a house and it's a ghostly house, or they're haunting that house, are they just comfortable in there? Or they're just waiting for somebody or something? Are they just there because they're lonely? Maybe they need to go to the light. Well, let me know what your thoughts are on all this. Okay, everybody. I hope that was as fun for you as it was for me. And remember, go out and do something nice for somebody. Remember, go out and be the frequency you want to receive, everyone. Love y'all. Peace, everybody.